Hi, everybody. We are the Non-Prophets, back again after a long hiatus. Not as long as the last one, but longer than we like. It's, what is it today? October 25. I'm your host, Jeff D. My co-host is Keryn Glasser.
Hi.
Our producer, Russell Glasser.
Hello.
And today's opening music was I Should Be Allowed to Think by They Might Be Giants. And luckily here on this show, you are allowed to think. We were not live 2 weeks ago during our last scheduled show because we were off at a Renaissance festival here in the state of Texas. And how was that, everybody? Did we have a good time?
That was a blast.
Fabulous.
We arranged that much better than last year.
Yes. And Russell, didn't you get some special recognition because of your costume?
Yes, I went as the Spanish Inquisition.
All of it?
Lots of people came up and asked me for blessings and stuff.
And did you?
Yeah, I said, stuff like, "Oh, nomine patronum pinche cabron." I don't know. And one woman tried very hard to tempt me into breaking my faith when my wife was out of sight.
Really?
Yeah.
And I did hear one person call out, "Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition."
Yeah, but that's my line. They're supposed to say, "I didn't expect the Spanish Inquisition."
Well, darn. Let's go shoot them.
Well, it was a good time.
Burn them.
It was a good time. We have this huge annual Renaissance festival. Oh, God, hour and a half.
Yes, I'm a celebrity now. Lots of people took pictures of me.
Why?
Because of my beautiful costume
and
that I was wearing.
We don't have pictures for people to see, do we?
No.
So
Jessel has some. You want to put them up on the internet?
No, there's no evidence.
Just kidding.
Yeah, she was doing this whole gypsy thing. Gypsy thing?
Gypsy.
Okay. Because I guess a belly dancer would be technically not medieval. I guess it's medieval. I don't know. It's a different part of the world.
Oh, good news. We are on.
We are? Oh, good.
Yay!
The stream is mislabeled as episode 2.11, and it's actually our 12th episode of this season.
Oh, dear.
Okay.
It's terrible.
It's okay. Welcome, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Yeah, there's a huge crowd already in the chat room. Welcome, everyone who's already there. Why are those people all hanging out? What was going on?
I don't know. They didn't really talk to me much. They were too busy talking about Blazing Saddles.
Blazing Saddles? Cool. That's a great film. Anyway, if any of you are actually listening to the show in the chat room, welcome. So, let's get on to some announcements. Okay, so, we're all atheists here, and we know we get a bad rap from the religionists all the time. If you hear any slurs, defamation, or discrimination against atheists or other non-believers in the U.S. media, what you do is you email ombuds@atheism.org, tell them what you heard and where and when, how and why and who all said it and all that stuff, and they will send out alerts to local groups that will distribute press releases responding to the incident. The Heart of the Beholder film project still needs your support. I've talked about this a couple of past shows. These are folks trying to put together a film based on a true story of some religious right lunatics that went after a video store and not only failed but also got exposed as hypocrites. It's all very interesting. If you want more information about the film and how you can help, go to www.beholder.com. You can collect past episodes of The Non-Prophets and an audio version of our sister show, The Atheist Experience, which airs on public access television only here in Austin, Texas, in a convenient CD format. Each CD includes a full month's worth of audio from both shows in both QuickTime and MP3 formats, plus extra surprises. The CDs are $5 each. Contact atheist@mac.com to order them. Okay, and then let's do a news story.
Okay.
Why don't you start?
Okay. With let's see,
whatever. Whatever strikes your fancy.
Okay.
It's been a whole month since we got to do
It has
news.
been.
Some of this stuff is really backed up.
Yes. Well, recently, speaking of films about religion and so forth.
Is that what we were doing? Oh, yeah, we were talking. Well, that was a film about atheism, but okay.
About atheism. Yeah. Okay. So, trying to do a lead-in here.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, it was excellent.
In Rome, Italy, actor Jim Caviezel, who plays the Son of God in Mel Gibson's controversial film The Passion of Christ, was struck by lightning during a shooting. Now, Jeff and I have the same story, but they say different things.
The weird thing is, I don't know that we both got the news story from the same place, but
New York
the text
Post.
is almost identical with this change. Her version of it says...
Sir Wiesel was uninjured, but a producer described how he saw lightning coming out of the actor's ear.
But my version says the producer described how he saw smoke coming from the actor's ear.
I think it's more believable to think that smoke was coming from the actor's ear and he was uninjured than lightning was coming. But maybe not, because if it's smoke, then something
right through you. Isn't that what actually causes the damage?
Yeah, that's true. Whereas if you had smoke, maybe it means something inside actually got like fried. But I don't know.
Well,
I think it depends on what version of the gospel they were filming, right? Because in one version, it's lightning that shoots out of Jesus' ear, and in another version, it's smoke that comes out of his ears, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Isn't that right?
Yeah. Except that this wasn't different members of the crew. This was the same member of the crew.
Clarifies the first one.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Right.
Neither one of them is inaccurate or made up. No.
So there was also the assistant director of the film, Jan Michelini, was also hit by a fork of the lightning bolt.
And what came out of his ears?
They got two of them.
Nothing. His fingertip, nothing. He wasn't directly hit. He was holding an umbrella, and his umbrella got hit, and the tips of his fingers got burned.
Did he stick him in the other guy's ears?
I don't know what that purpose that would serve.
So the lightning was coming out.
Neither of them were hurt.
And where there's smoke, there's ears on fire.
On the set of a religious film, they don't happen to say anything about what kind of symbolism or, sign this has.
Getting hit by lightning is pretty serious business. If I were Mel Gibson, I would have to be thinking, guys, I think we're making this movie wrong.
You would think so. That's what I was expecting. It doesn't
Can we go back over the script?
Maybe
he shouldn't say this bit. This thing about...
But you watch. If they do comment on it at all, it'll be, God was there to help us by not letting that guy who got hit by lightning be hurt any worse.
Exactly.
Right. I mean,
this is God and Zeus battling it out.
Those people that believe that stuff like this is, directly the result of intervention by the God never seem to be able to catch the obvious implications when that wrath is directed at them.
Yeah, I mean, this is like a textbook example of a bad sign. This is like...
It is a textbook.
Hey, you're not Jesus!
Doesn't George, what's his name, say, if I'm lying, may God strike this audience with lightning?
Yeah, well, no. George Carlin.
Yeah, George Carlin.
Yeah, and they don't. And they don't.
I was there. I didn't get struck by lightning.
They didn't strike George Carlin's audience, but they did strike Mel Gibson's Jesus.
Wait, hold on. We're saying they now. It's this is Christianity, one God.
Sorry.
And his ghost and his kid.
Yeah. But I mean, if I took this stuff seriously...
We're always very concerned with accuracy here, folks, on the Atheist and the Non-Prophets show.
Yeah.
If they took this stuff seriously, I would have to think that this is about the worst possible criticism that could be made of your movie.
One would think.
Worst possible, yes. This is God himself saying, sending a serious, serious warning.
And you, assistant director.
But he didn't hurt me. That must mean he loves me.
Oh, yeah, hold still. Yeah, boy. Russell, what do you got?
What have I got? The Supreme Court is going to be taking up the Pledge of Allegiance case.
Yeah.
The Supreme Court said on Tuesday, and this story is dated October 14th, that it will decide whether the Pledge of Allegiance recited by generations of American school children is an unconstitutional blending of church and state. What do you think?
Well,
stupid question.
I think we said.
The court will hear the case sometime next year. Now, the interesting thing about this is that Scalia has this Antonin Scalia, who is like the most extreme far right-wing conservative on the court, has decided to recuse himself from this case.
That's an interesting word, recuse.
Yes. Why?
So it sounds like excuse, and it sounds like recluse.
In a way. Okay. Anyway, Scalia decided that he will not be hearing this case, and I guess it's due in part to pressure from...
He's going to stick his fingers in his ears and go, blah, 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 blah.
More likely he just won't be in the courthouse.
I'm not going to hear this case. You can't make me. Blah, 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 blah.
How long do you think he can keep that up?
Huh? Me? Probably the whole rest of the show.
No, him.
Oh. I don't know. How long do one of those cases usually take?
Days, probably.
Anyway. There's another one of these little bugs. We have a plague of gnats or something.
Ants, they're ants.
Anyway,
God is smiting
now said some months ago that Scalia should recuse himself from this case because Scalia appeared in public and made this impassioned speech about how we should make this a Christian nation again.
Right.
And so obviously he's just got a slight bias in this case. But
slight, my ass.
I heard one person comment, though, that Scalia would not have recused himself if he didn't think that the outcome of this case was a foregone conclusion and they were going to win it. So, just food for thought.
If he didn't think they were going to win it...
He would not have...
He thinks they're going to win it.
Yeah, he thinks that the ruling will be overturned.
Interesting.
But now that
I'd like to know the grounds on which that ruling is going to get overturned.
I would too.
Because I'm still waiting for another argument. Remember when this all hit the fan? And like the only argument I've ever heard from anybody is, "That's stupid."
Yeah,
literally, that's
stupid,
it.
Stupid were the exact words of a congressman.
Because if you say it 3 times, it's true.
Yeah, like Beetlejuice.
Right.
That ruling, the Ninth Circuit Court ruling is stupid.
But anyway, now that Scalia is gone, there are 8 people on the court, and if it's a 4-4 tie, then the ruling will be upheld, meaning that the pledge changes.
Cool. I think.
Well,
right?
the pledge, meaning the pledge will have to change if they want to keep obligating children to say it.
That would be nice. I think that'd be great.
I'd be just as happy if we just stopped making kids say a pledge like it means anything to them at all at school.
Yeah.
Right. Kids don't really care about the pledge that much. I'm willing to go out on a limb and say.
I mean, have you ever heard anybody who said, "Yeah, I remember when I was in 3rd grade, and they made us stand there with our hands on our hearts and say the pledge. I was just filled with patriotic fervor. It just." it tingled to my very bones that I was such a patriotic supporter of this great nation of ours. No, nobody ever says that.
Obviously attempted brainwashing. We're trying to teach our kids at an early age, even though the kids have no idea what they're talking about. Interesting side note, I was in my sign language class the other day, and we were learning some very, very common frozen passages that every interpreter should know because you'll most likely be called on to say them at one point or another. But
frozen passages?
Yeah, frozen just means you're not interpreting something somebody's ad-libbing. You're interpreting something very specific. Okay. So we did the Star Spangled Banner and America the Beautiful, and I had a classmate that said that she was a huge baseball fan, and ever since September 11th, they no longer sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." They sing Star Spangled Banner. She said she went to a baseball game. Well, I don't know. Maybe they do both. Maybe it was just the game she went to. But she said she was very excited. She went to a ball game. She had great seats, and she was sitting there waiting to sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," and they did the Star Spangled Banner instead.
Yeah, no, I think hasn't been to a lot of ball games. I haven't either, but I was forced as a child, so I know these things. Star Spangled Banner is pretty much standard.
Don't you remember all the celebrities who have always sung like Roseanne?
Oh yeah, extremely bad versions of the "To Embarrass Our Nation."
That was years ago. Roseanne was on a baseball game and sang this horrible, intentionally mangled version of the Star Spangled Banner.
I don't know what is supposed to be so patriotic about baseball. It's an issue of patriotism. If you don't like baseball, you're Not American.
Baseball came over on the Mayflower, gosh darn it.
If you don't like baseball, that means you're a Christ killer.
Christopher Columbus and his crew of what were they, Spaniards? They first thing when they got off the boats in the New World is they played some baseball.
Picked up a rock and hit it with a stick at one of the Indians' heads, and thus baseball came to be.
Indians caught it, and Columbus was out of there. Okay, no, then none of this is true, folks. And I know everybody knows more about baseball than me.
Except
sex.
Yay!
Woo!
That's American, too.
Cedar City, Utah.
Not according
It
to the
sounds
president.
like a morning DJ prank, but employees at KSUB say a technical glitch caused the radio station to air Mormon apostle M. Russell Ballard repeating the word sex over and over during a speech at the church's general conference 2 weeks ago. That's 2 weeks ago from October 17th. Ballard, whose October 4th address was broadcast live by the AM news talk station, was warning listeners about the pernicious evil permeating the entertainment media when the incident occurred, said morning show co-hosts Steve Miner and Dale Nelson. The two hosts said an overload of data jammed the station's buffer system, which allows KUSB to air conference coverage on a 24-second delay. The overload jammed the audio feed, akin to a record skipping, just as Ballard reached the word sex in his speech. The station's lone employee that Saturday had left the control booth for a drink of water. It was sex for 24 seconds, Nelson said.
Was this
There's a sign from God.
Was this on a Christian station?
It doesn't say what it was, but...
Does it say what the rest of his
AM News
was?
Talk. That's all it says about the station.
Does it say what the rest of his sentence was?
It's about the pernicious evil permeating the entertainment media. Well, he permeated it a bit himself there. Inadvertently,
Darn
but what the
that
heck.
pernicious evil.
All right, so, by the way, we have some stuff in the mailbag that I want to get to before we move on. First of all, a letter from Andy. Is this... Russell, you forwarded me this email. Is this from our own Andy?
How's it spelled?
A-N-D-Y.
No.
Oh, different Andy. Hi, guys. I've finally had a chance to listen to a lot of your second season shows. My computer's really gone bad lately, so I wasn't able to download any of your shows because of the file size. Now I download them from school at a rate of about 5 seconds instead of 8 hours and burn them to a CD. You know, you could save yourself a lot of trouble if you just shell out the $5 a month for the nonprofits / atheist experience CDs.
So worth it. I even buy the CDs occasionally just to hear the TV shows on them.
And there's TV shows on there and also other cool stuff. Anyway, I just wanted to say I think you guys are as great as ever, and I really like the new season. Also know that even if there's not many people in the chat room at the time of the live show, I'm sure I'm one of the many listeners... one of the many that listens later to the downloads. Keep up the good work. You're the best on the AN, in my opinion. Well, thank you, Andy.
Woohoo!
We appreciate that support. Of course, all the shows on the Atheist Network are astounding, and they're all worth listening to.
Reggie does a great job.
Reggie does an excellent job. I'm a big personal fan of the Hour of Slack, but it just goes on and on. There's a zillion great shows. Another letter. Dear Non-Prophets, I know this isn't related to atheism at all. Oh, did I say that? Last letter was from Andy. This is from Denis. I know this isn't related to atheism at all, but with all the talk about the war lately, I found this to be the most revealing story I've read in a long time, and hope maybe you can discuss it on the next radio show. And then here is the article. We report you get it wrong. The more commercial television news you watch, the more wrong you are likely to be about key elements of the Iraq War and its aftermath, according to a major news study released in Washington on Thursday. And the more you watch the Rupert Murdoch-owned Fox News channel in particular, the more likely it is that your perceptions about the war are wrong, adds the report by the University of Maryland's Program on International Policy Attitudes, or PIPA.
But I'm okay because I don't get my news from Fox. I get my news from The Daily Show. They've won awards, for being a good news station.
You should get your news from The Onion.
There you go.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Lately The Onion has been looking less and less like satire.
It's hard to satirize some of the stuff that's been going on. Let me continue with this, though. Based on several nationwide surveys it conducted with California-based knowledge networks since June, as well as the results of other polls, PIPA found that 48% of the public believe U.S. troops found evidence of close pre-war links between Iraq and the al-Qaeda terrorist group. 22% thought troops found weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, and 25% believed that the world public opinion favored Washington's going to war with Iraq. All three are misperceptions. The report, Misperceptions, the Media, and the Iraq War, also found that the more misperceptions held by the respondent, the more likely it was that they both supported the war and depended on commercial television for news about it. The study is likely to stoke a growing public and professional debate over why mainstream news media, especially the broadcast media, were not more skeptical about the Bush administration's pre-war claims, particularly regarding Saddam Hussein's weapons of mass destruction stockpiles and ties with al-Qaeda. Another factor that correlated closely with misperceptions about the war was party affiliation, with Republicans substantially more likely to hold misperceptions than Democrats. But support for Bush himself was expressed by whether or not the respondent said he or she intended to vote for him in 2004 appeared to be an even more critical factor.
The more you listen to Fox News, the dumber you are. Is that it?
Well, I mean, it's hard to determine exactly where the causation is there, right?
Yeah.
Is the dumbness the reason for watching Fox? Is the dumbness the reason for a general desire to believe this kind of crap, and therefore, incidentally, you result in watching Fox because they feed your desire for this kind of crap?
That it's a self-feeding cycle. Because there's been all kinds of talk about the liberal media over the last many years, and as far as I can tell, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But Fox News has set out as a way to balance out the supposed leftist slant of the mainstream media, and they do it by becoming extremely hardcore far right wing.
Yeah.
And they call themselves fair and balanced, which is hilarious.
Of course.
In fact, they tried to trademark it. And then they tried to sue.
Oh, yes.
They tried to sue Al Franken. All right, now that was an older story. Okay, Keryn.
Yeah?
What's up?
This guy. Just kidding, sorry. Okay, I'm here.
Never gets old.
Oh, that bores me. Okay, well,
do the damn story. What are you talking about?
U.S. State Department protests televangelist nuclear threat.
Yeah, ever remember this?
No.
Okay, good. See, then there's a point to reading the story.
Okay. The U.S. State Department has lodged a vehement complaint with prominent conservative televangelist Pat Robertson for his comments suggesting that its Foggy Bottom headquarters should be destroyed with nuclear weapons.
Well, Bloody Mary says, I get my news from the non-profits.
Yeah.
Woohoo! Yes.
Yeah.
No, we are a fair and balanced news source.
We get our news from the Internet Infidels Newswire, so, cut the middleman and go straight there. And then just listen to us for yaks.
We at least don't claim to be fair and balanced, though. We definitely are what a liberal media would sound like.
Well, we're trying.
We slam the media, and we're proud of it.
Us, and you can tell the difference.
Okay. So, there was a spokesman, Richard Boucher, called the remarks which Robertson made last week on his nationally televised 700 Club program.
That's a week ago, October 9, because these are old stories we're trying to catch up.
Okay. Old stories. Boucher disses him, says this is despicable, blah, blah, blah.
Of course it's despicable.
I lack sufficient capabilities to express my disdain.
When the heck are we going to start calling these guys, these religious lunatics, on these kinds of statements? I mean, it's my understanding that if if law enforcement gets hold of a report that there's some guy going around saying you ought to blow up the State Department with a nuclear bomb, they at least come and round you up for questioning. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So how come this never happened to Pat Robertson?
Well, John Ashcroft says, hey, come on, it's Pat. We know him. He would never do something insane.
Of course not.
He's already done things that are insane.
He always does things that are insane. That's what he does. Okay, so, someone, Colin Powell, I think, says that... Okay. The senior official said Robertson had been made aware of the Secretary of State, Colin Powell's, extreme outrage and tone at the content of the remark. That is not the way one expresses an opinion in Washington, the official said, adding that Robertson's conduct had been outrageous. Robertson, who has been a frequent critic of the State Department, made the offending comment during an interview with a like-minded critic of U.S. diplomacy, communist Joel Mowbray.
No, columnist.
What did I say?
There's no like-minded... You're not going to find Robertson talking to a like-minded communist.
I said columnist.
You might.
I said columnist. I would not have said communist.
All right.
Okay.
We have it on tape.
You knew what I meant.
This is just hilarious, though. You know, I mean... and yet we have people in this country who listen to lunatics like this.
Yeah, and they probably are quick to jump on criticizing the patriotism of anyone who says that George Bush is not the greatest president we've ever had. But just go ahead and say that we should blow up a federal building, was it?
Uh-huh. State Department.
And hey, he has a right to his opinion.
Yeah. You know, we should follow this up with an actual guy in the government saying insane religious things, don't you think, Russell?
Yeah, we should.
That's been in the news.
A highly decorated general who is one of the leaders of a secretive new... secretive... Well, this particular general secretes stuff wherever he goes. Of a secretive new... I'm just the tech guy, damn it. Secretive new Pentagon unit formed to coordinate intelligence of terrorists and help hunt down Osama bin Laden, Saddam Hussein, and other high-profile targets has a history of outspoken and divisive views on religion.
Oh, come on, we already captured those guys.
Islam in particular, NBC News has learned. He's a highly decorated officer... twice wounded in combat, a warrior's warrior, blah, 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 trying to mitigate the story. You're
letting me get away with claiming that we've already captured Saddam Hussein and bin Laden?
Well, I assumed you meant it ironically.
It's proof of how secretive this organization is.
Oh, they're that secretive.
Okay, fine.
Anyway, in June 2003, Boykin was...
Boykin. Boykin.
This is... Jerry Boykin. Boykin. He's the former commander of Army Special Forces, Lieutenant General William Jerry Boykin.
Lieutenant General of Special Forces in the government. Yeah, I heard a joke recently that had something to do with...
You haven't even heard what he said yet.
Okay.
He was showing a church group a slideshow, and he said, well, is he the enemy? And he points to a picture of Osama bin Laden. Next slide, or is this man the enemy? Saddam Hussein's picture. No, the enemy is none of these people I have showed you here. The enemy is a spiritual enemy. He's called the Principality of Darkness. The enemy is a guy called Satan. And why are terrorists out to destroy the United States? Boykin said, they're after us because we're a Christian nation. Also, during a January church speech in Daytona, Florida, Boykin recalled a Muslim fighter in Somalia who bragged on television that the Americans would never get him because his God, Allah, would protect him. Well, you know what I knew, that my God was bigger than his. I knew that my God was a real God and his was an idol.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
Now look, George Bush has already said that we're not fighting a war against Islam, and it is completely right and proper that he should say something like that. We're fighting a war against...
Christianity. Oh. You mean the nation, not just us.
Yes, the
At
Christian
least
nation.
according to George Bush, we're supposed to be fighting a war against terrorism.
Right.
It doesn't
That's
help
right.
when high-up people say stuff like, you know, my God is bigger than your God, and, oh, Allah is Satan. And they're allowed to get away with it with not so much as a slap on the wrist.
Right. Is that true? There have been... I know there have been a lot of responses to this. As far as you know, nobody has come out and said, and the government has come out and said that was bad and wrong.
I was looking for it. There was a piece in the Washington Times yesterday that said Rumsfeld denied rumors that he might be fired over this. And so, I mean, they apparently don't care.
Speaking of Satan, I can link this. I know I can. Satan, right?
Everybody heard you say communist, all right?
Oh, come on, folks.
Well, you all knew what I meant, okay?
Yeah, right. Okay, so Satan is the bad guy, right? Satan
is the bad guy.
You know, he doesn't just concern himself, Satan, with making sure Hussein and bin Laden get away. An Alberta man, that's in Canada, says the devil may have caused his sermonizing parrot to fly the coop last month, but he's hoping God will lead the bird home this weekend. This is a story from September 19, so backdate all this a month. The fire and brimstone preaching parrot named Solomon disappeared during a visit to a relative's home in central Alberta on August 3rd.
The parrot's relative or the owner's relative?
It would be the owner's relatives. The African gray parrot was having its picture taken with Dowell's Dowell, I guess that's the guy's name. Dowell's father-in-law on the deck of his home near Rocky Mountain House when he suddenly flew off. I truly believe Satan terrorized... wait a minute. How do you do a Canadian accent?
I truly believe
Satan terrorized him and he flew up there. They're so scared,
You guys watch way too much South Park.
We spent 6 hours trying to talk him out of a tree, and he flew to 5 different trees and then flew east, said Dowell, 51, a barber in the southern Alberta city of Medicine Hat. The born-again Christian says the bird has a vocabulary of about 2,600 words and mostly spouts evangelical Christian messages.
In a Canadian accent?
He says things like, it's time to repent or perish, eh? And are you ready to meet the Lord? Time to repent or perish. Time to repent or perish? Time to repent or perish? What? Dole says he's been told by the Holy Spirit to use the African gray parrot to spread the good word. But Solomon disappeared just weeks before he was to appear at a Christian jamboree in Coronation, city of Coronation, to recite a prayer inviting sinners to be saved. He was going to give an altar call just like Billy Graham, and an altar call is like when you invite people to come forward and accept Jesus Christ as their personal savior.
I don't think they say like all the time. That's Valley Girl accent.
Oh, well, I'm doing sort of a Doug and Bob McKenzie thing, and they did that.
They did, all right.
I'm saying they did. Of course, that's on tape too. You can go check me against them. Pastor Brian Archer of Medicine Hat's Memorial Evangelical Church remembers seeing Dewell and his parrot at a church variety show last January. He had it up against a microphone, and as the tape was played, the bird would mimic the tape. Things like, God loves you, God cares for your life, Archer said. What happened to, repent or perish, repent or perish? When asked whether the Bible-savvy parrot may have converted anyone, Archer responded, it's a novel idea, that could pique people's interest. It could be a stepping stone for someone to say, that's interesting, I wonder what that's all about, Dewell's friend Will Hansen reckons Solomon isn't like most other parrots because he doesn't know any swear words. Parrots are noted for their...
Most parrots know swear words?
According to this guy, parrots are noted for their profanity. This bird would stand out in a crowd because there's no profanity in his vocabulary,
That's because parrots repeat what they're listening to. They don't They don't just decide
this
what
is an
words
especially
they're gonna say.
good parrot because he didn't have the sinful, evil, bad words in him.
He didn't have the ability to repeat the word.
Is original sin saying bad words? I thought it was something else.
Birds can't have original sin. They don't have sex. Sex.
Okay. Next.
Yeah, and
So
okay.
did Satan steal that bird?
Apparently, that's what the guy says, right?
This could
Satan
be another
scared it off.
lead in our
Satan
war.
was busy. He was like, "Oh, Osama, go hide behind those rocks. They're coming for you. Just a minute." We whisked off to Canada to fly over this guy's back porch and frighten that parrot up into a tree.
And speaking
why didn't Satan just start teaching the bird bad words?
Oh, because
that would have just as easily destroyed the entire.
You said it yourself.
Huh?
The bird was pure. This bird could not be tempted.
But that's Jesus. But that's Satan's job to tempt people, and he's not. Are you saying the parrot was Jesus?
Sure.
You're saying the parrot was Jesus.
The parrot was the second coming, and we missed it.
All right. Well, that explains everything. Go ahead.
Darn. And speaking of...
He still should have let him out into a desert or something.
Come on, I'm trying to tie the next story in here.
Okay, go
Give me
ahead.
a break. And speaking of evil, invisible entities that ruin people's lives...
You think so? We're going to get through all this news and not have any time?
No way.
Have too much time left?
Oh,
I think we're doing just fine.
We can, okay. So, speaking of invisible evil entities that ruin people...
And in birds. Or not in that bird, but in the birds that do swear.
Parents sue over wireless network. See, I'm tying this in...
Yeah.
Parents sue over wireless network. I'm tying this into invisible entities.
You mean they use the wireless network to lodge their suit?
Yes.
No.
I don't know. Okay,
You're really
so
desperate
pioneering...
for a link. Don't even...
Read it. Just read it.
This is not even about Christianity.
Yeah, sure it is. It's about people who believe in invisible things that cause destruction.
Yes.
A pioneering elementary school district outside of Chicago has been sued for installing a wireless computer network by parents worried that exposure to the network's radio waves could harm their children. According to the complaint filed in Illinois, state courts, parents of 5 children assert that a growing body of evidence outlines serious health risks that exposure to low intensity but high radio frequency radiation poses to human beings, particularly children.
Well, why don't they just make their kids little tinfoil hats they're wearing?
I bet you every single one of these parents uses cell phones and has a microwave oven in their house.
And did the parents bother complaining about the fact that the entire school is surrounded by electrical cables? And there's
and did they sue radio stations and TV stations?
Well,
all the radio waves flying around in the air.
Well, at the very end of this article, it says
stop. That was already in place. There was nothing we could do, but we could keep the evil from seeping into our public schools.
They didn't say it was evil. They just said it was going to cause cancer.
Dangerous.
I don't know. Maybe they did.
Satan is the radio waves.
Let me see. I'm looking for the word evil.
No, that's not.
Evil.
I told you, this has nothing to do with Christianity. It's just a funny story about how stupid people are.
Okay. Well, anyway, in the end, the according to Chowinski, who's Chowinski? The director of information services for the district, he says that we're not going to do anything different. This is the wave of the future.
Well, it is.
It is.
Yeah.
Good for the school for getting wireless internet.
You hear this all the time, that people are talking about the radiation waves that go into your head from cell phones and wireless internet. Is there any, studies that these people get these ideas from, or are they just making it up?
You probably get more radiation from the sun.
Yeah? Yeah, probably. Well, here it says the Wi-Fi Alliance?
Wi-Fi?
Yeah. The WI-FI Alliance says WI-FI networks are safe. The radio waves in a WI-FI network, can I just call it Wi-Fi?
Sure.
The radio
Wi-Fi.
waves
Wi-Fi.
in a
I have it on
Wi-Fi
my Palm Pilot. Woohoo!
network
You bastard, I'm suing you for exposing me to these radiation waves.
Fear the Palm Pilot.
The radio waves in a Wi-Fi network use the same frequency as a wireless home phone. Ooh, wireless home phones. Russell, you have one of those too. And have 1/30th of the power of cordless phones.
Yeah.
Russell, your kid has a cell phone.
I don't know. I can see how, theoretically, sufficient intensity radio waves could be dangerous. And I don't know the facts here, but my bullshit detector is just going off like mad because it just smacks of like the whole fluoride craze.
Yeah.
If you remember that.
Fluoride craze?
Fluoride. When they put fluoride in the water, there's still people pissed off about that.
Yeah. That's bad. Fluoride is bad.
Is it?
Well, my anesthesiologist tells me I should stay off fluoride.
There's probably people who say, what is it? It's a government conspiracy to render certain people sterile or something like that. Is that what it was?
Who?
They should just ask for volunteers.
Yeah, plenty of women right now are willing to become volunteers. I know several of them. Okay. And speaking of sterility...
Oh, okay, sterility, right.
Wait, no, this would be the opposite of sterility.
We're going around here, sort of taking turns.
Russell.
Yeah, Russell.
Shoot.
There is a new website up that you can check out. It's called therevolutionwillbelive.com. And there's a story in the eminently fair and balanced news source, WorldNet Daily.
Oh, boy.
About this website. Motivated by what he views as an assault on free speech by the ACLU, a Georgia man has launched a campaign to distribute thousands of Ten Commandments signs across the nation. Robert Frey, a 33-year-old average guy who's fed up and wants to do something, has set a goal of selling 100,000 signs suitable for front yards through a website, therevolutionwillbelive.com. By joining together in this spiritual battle, we could give the ACLU a nightmare of fits when it realizes that the more it and its ilk try to destroy America, the stronger we will be, the louder we will become, Frey says on his website. Now, instead of worrying about a single granite display of the Ten Commandments in the rotunda of an Alabama courthouse, we can watch as the ACLU and its deceived followers go absolutely crazy over the thousands, if not millions, of Ten Commandments displays cropping up all over the American landscape. Hey, moron! The ACLU doesn't care if you have a Ten Commandments sign in your lawn. You're allowed to do that! It's private property!
Yeah. 100,000 signs.
Yeah,
he's selling
and
these.
Conveniently, he's selling these for just $9.95 plus $5 shipping. And as far as I can tell from the website, they are cardboard signs. So let's do some figuring here.
$9.95 and $5 for shipping.
Right.
$14.95
the
times
shipping
100.
Probably really I figure the sign costs $1 to make, maybe $2 to ship, not $5.
Okay.
And they also say that $1 of every purchase will go to the ACLJ.
Okay, fine. So, well, that's fine. It's raising money, right? Okay, so $9.95 plus say $2, so $11.95 in profit.
Right.
Times 95 times 100,000. Okay, we're looking at a cool $1,195,000.
We're also looking at approximately a 73% profit margin.
Yeah.
Now,
he's so fed up, he decided to go out and make $1 million.
Boy, that'll teach that ACLU. But he's generously donating. What is that? It's like 1/12 of his profits to
right.
the ACLJ.
It's $1,195,000. It's basically $195,000 that's going to the ACLJ.
Right.
This guy himself personally was so fed up at the shenanigans of the ACLU that he decided to go out and make $1 million. I'm sure he'll feel a lot better after he's got $1 million in his pocket. I know I would.
Well, with any luck,
he will... Americans like that make me proud that I'm not a Christian.
All right, so...
I don't know. I might just get so fed up with this guy that I might try and go out and make $1 million.
Have you noticed, though, that the advertising that people do towards Christians just makes it obvious that people think that Christians are really goddamn gullible?
Yes.
Yeah. Boy, I don't know which way to go now. I got a gullibility story, and I got a cash in on the Ten Commandments insanity story. I guess I'll do the Ten Commandments first, because the whole gullibility thing will pretty much be always an issue. Casper, Wyoming. Ten Commandments fight now includes Fred Phelps. You know him, right? That's the God Hates Fags guy. Reverend Fred Phelps and his Westboro Baptist Church of Topeka, Kansas, announced plans to erect a monument in Casper's city park. The monument would be made of marble or granite, stand 5 or 6 feet in height, with a heavy bronze plaque bearing the face of slain University of Wyoming student Matthew Shepard, and an inscription reading, "Matthew Shepard entered hell October 12, 1998, in defiance of God's warning, 'Thou shalt not lie with mankind, and as with womankind, it is abomination,' Leviticus 18:22. A letter from the Westboro Baptist Church, signed by Phelps, sent to the city of Casper states. The church plans to place the monument in City Park because the park is already home to a Ten Commandments monument donated to the city by the Fraternal Order of Eagles in 1965. On Monday, the Casper City Council discussed moving the Ten Commandments from the park because the Wisconsin-based Freedom from Religion Foundation has threatened legal action if the city does not do so. After a fiery debate in which some council members mentioned the possibility of Phelps trying to erect a monument, the council decided to look into selling the land on which the Decalogue sits to a private party so that it can stay where it is. Well, morons, that has already been identified as a dodge and nothing but a dodge in other cases, so that ain't going to work. According to the ruling made by the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals in the case Summum versus City of Ogden, remember Summum?
Yeah.
Those are the weird,
post their 7 tenets.
Aphorisms.
Aphorisms, yeah.
Right, there's the,
penny saved is a penny earned. No.
And that was another group that wanted to put their thing up because of the Ten Commandments. Any city that displays a Ten Commandments monument on public property must also allow monuments espousing the views of other religions or political groups on that same property. That is exactly what I said would happen, said Councilwoman Barb Walters. I'm like Karnak. I can see the future. Now, hold on now.
Who's Karnak?
I think that's a Johnny Carson reference. Isn't that the...
I thought that was Kreskin or something.
No, Kreskin is an actual guy.
Oh. Okay.
There's a character that Johnny Carson used to do.
All right.
So she says she can see the future. Therefore, sorry, Councilman Waters, we're not going to invite you onto our show. When Phelps puts on one side of his picture with that thing about killing all the gays, and they put on the other side of the thing a picture of Hitler that says, kill all the Jews, that is what you are opening yourself up for, she added. That was not really a complete sentence, but there you go. All right. What else?
Have we discussed partial birth abortions yet?
You mean today?
Today.
I don't think so.
Okay. I've got a story about partial birth abortions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, woo. So, people are trying to do everything they can still to get abortions legalized one way or another, no matter how.
Illegalized.
Said that.
No, I heard the word. You said the word exactly the way you meant. It's just a strange word. Illegalized. Does it say illegalized in this? In the story?
No, I was ad-libbing. Come on, give me a break. Okay, I will stick to the story, and I will just stop commenting.
I like that word, though.
It's not a wrong word.
I'm not picking on you.
You are.
I made equal fun of Russell over there.
Yes, you did.
And I am stronger for it.
But Russell actually pronounced it wrong. Okay.
Yeah?
The Senate... And back to KY in the news. Sorry, that was my first pronunciation mistake I ever made when I came on this show. It's not easy to read news, guys, live on the spot. I don't do it for a living. Okay. The Senate on Tuesday... When was this? This was October 22nd, this story is from.
Yeah, not that old.
The Senate on Tuesday voted to prohibit the practice that critics call partial birth abortion, sending President Bush a measure that supporters and foes alike said could alter the future of U.S. abortion rights. A court challenge is certain.
Yeah. Sounds straight.
Years in the making, the bill imposes a the bill imposes the most far-reaching limits on abortion since the Supreme Court in 1973 confirmed a woman's right to end a pregnancy.
Yeah, years in the making. Those would be all the years since Roe versus Wade, during which these religious nitwits have been doing everything they could possibly think of to try to get the law, to get that ruling overturned.
Yeah, they've been plotting it all this time.
Those years.
It's just like the whole slipping evolution into public schools issue. They can't do it directly. So
years in the making.
So they got to come up with some extremely sneaky way that they can slip in something small so that they think they can get a foot in the door and eventually overturn the whole thing.
Yep.
So, Bush, traveling in Asia, said in a statement, "This is very important legislation that will end an abhorrent practice and continue to build the culture of life in America."
Right.
That's right. All the mothers are going to die.
They call it partial birth abortion. Just to make it sound creepy, right?
This is not a medical term.
The baby was partially born! And then they aborted it. No, you know...
The proper medical term for this is dilation and extraction, and it's actually a very rare procedure, except in cases when the mother's health is threatened. But this provision that this bill that they're trying to pass makes no comments about what to do if the mother's life is threatened. It just says doctors can go to jail if they practice this particular kind of abortion.
It says the president will become the first U.S. president to criminalize a safe medical procedure. Doctors who violate the ban would be subject to a prison term of up to 2 years. The legislation bans a procedure generally performed in the second or third trimester in which a fetus is partially delivered before a doctor punctures the skull. However, the two sides differ widely on the frequency and definition of partial birth abortion, which is not a formal medical term. So since it's not a formal medical term, it leaves a lot of room for...
Well, it is a horrible thing, right? The whole situation. You got a woman who's, her life is threatened by the pregnancy. This is a way to save her life. It is horrible that the situation arose. It's horrible that this is the way to deal with it.
I mean, if somebody's going to die, why are you any less sinful by picking the baby over the mother?
Right. And it's not like if the mother dies and it's only the second or third trimester.
If third trimester, second or third, it says second or third.
Okay, but I mean, in many cases, you're not going to save the baby either. If you decide,
to kill the mother,
to just let nature take its course.
Isn't it somehow considered murder if someone's life can be saved and you refuse to do it? You deny treatment?
I don't know. I'm just saying.
Well, it's at least a violation of the Hippocratic Oath.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm just saying, yeah, it's horrible, it's icky, it's the disgusting thing for anybody to have to do. But so is being a sewer worker. That's horrible and disgusting. Nobody should have to do that.
Surgery.
So is open heart surgery. I mean, when when heart transplants, right? And the idea of heart transplants came up, there were lunatic naysayers that said, oh, you can't, the soul lives in the heart and you can't be transferred the heart around. And they showed horrible pictures of, open chest cavities and
heart
and wrote
transplants are disgusting.
Scary science fiction stories about you transfer the heart from the murderer into the other guy, and then the other guy becomes a murderer, and all this kind of crap. It's all to whoop up an argument from ickiness. It's that creeps me out. Therefore, we should make it illegal. No, I'm sorry. Just because it's creepy does not mean we shouldn't do it. Somebody has to be down there wading, up to their chin in human waste in order to keep our sewer systems working, and somebody has to go ahead and open up chest cavities and take the hearts out of dead people and put them into people that can be saved because it's worth doing. But yeah, it's disgusting. The disgustingness is irrelevant. Completely irrelevant.
Yeah, well, I mean, the issue here is that partial birth abortion is just one technique among many that a doctor might decide to use. And it's rare, but now our politicians are telling the doctors, you can't do this particular medical procedure. Right. You have to come up with something else. It's part of a long trend of this administration deciding that they know better than the actual scientists what science is and better than the doctors what correct medical procedures are.
They're saying we don't care if it's safe. They're saying we don't care that the woman's life is threatened. They're saying, we don't care that this is, the last resort, a lesser of two evils kind of thing. We don't care about any of that. It creeps us out. Therefore, we're going to make it illegal. Bastards.
They actually say something about that in here.
Yeah?
It says opponents of the legislation argued that, as defined in the bill, it could apply to several safe and common procedures, and that the real goal of the legislation was to erode overall abortion rights.
Mm-hmm.
Surprise!
I see what this is about. This is about politics, Boxer said. Who's Boxer?
Barbara Boxer.
Okay. California.
I've never dreamed I'd be down here with senators who think they know more than doctors. But Senator Rick Santorum...
Oh, there's Santorum again.
Republican PA, Pennsylvania? What's PA?
PA is Pennsylvania.
Chief sponsor of the bill said that the procedure is both inhumane and unnecessary. We can't allow this kind of brutality to corrupt us. It makes a much more brutal and harsher country if we stand here and say, yes, for whatever reason, we are going to allow this to occur.
No, it makes us a much more brutal and harsher country if we say, we all serve this great big invisible man in the sky who declares absolutely what's right and what's wrong. And if you do what's wrong, then you're a second-class citizen. In fact, you're barely a human being at all because you deserve to suffer eternal torment just for not being one of us.
Right.
That's what makes us a harsher and more brutal country.
Very, very painful death by birth complications. This legislation we just passed will save lives, potentially thousands of lives, said Senate Majority Leader Bill Frist.
How?
Frist.
How? How's it going to save lives?
And he's a heart surgeon.
Unborn
he doesn't
lives.
say. Unborn lives. Thousands of unborn lives. Yes, whatever. Oh, this is cool. But Democratic presidential candidate Howard Dean, who is also a doctor, said, as a physician, I am outraged that the Senate has decided to disqualify the practice has decided it is qualified to practice medicine. Go him. Woo.
Yeah, good for him.
He said the legislation will endanger the lives of countless women. Several groups, including the National Abortion Federation and the Center for Reproductive Rights, plan to challenge the measure in court as soon as it is signed into law. So it sounds like it is going to be signed into law by President Bush.
Right. But
it's already been passed according to this article, which is dated, this other article I have, which is dated tomorrow, so I don't know how that's possible, but...
This Rick Santorum that you mentioned, he's the same one who made really stupid and bigoted comments about gay people a few months ago. Isn't that right? We did a story on him. Don't remember, huh?
Yeah, because that's because he's creeped out by the idea of men's sexual organs going into other men. Therefore, it has to be illegal because it creeps him out. None of your freaking business, moron.
Creepy. There is actually a sex columnist who is making an active effort to make the word Santorum a euphemism for something really disgusting involving anal sex.
Cool.
It's on the Onion AV Club. You can check him out.
That's what he can be remembered for the rest of the time.
I read in another version of this story that there was a state that passed
Akrabu in the chat room knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah?
Well, I think he does, because he said, ew, Santorum.
Yeah, you wanna go Santorum?
No, it's a noun. It's a byproduct of anal sex.
You want to go have Santorum. You want to go what? You want to go...
All right.
Do Santorum.
But in another version of this story, I was reading...
it's more like, can we get this Santorum off the sheets?
Ew! Ew!
You're sure it's not a noun and a verb? One guy Santorums and the other guy?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Moving on.
In another version of this story, I read there was a state that passed a so-called partial birth abortion ban, and that was declared unconstitutional. And that's why the opponents are figuring that they'll be able to get this shot down as well. Russell, it's going to be your turn next if you have more news, sir.
I do.
Do it. We're doing fine on time.
Yeah. Actually, we're probably not going to have time to do everything.
Yeah, we are.
What do you want, a Rush Limbaugh story or a crazy people in other countries story?
Gee, I don't know. Is the Rush Limbaugh story new? It's not. None of it's new, really.
We discussed it on the
Can we
TV
just
show.
But everybody knows about the Rush Limbaugh thing.
Yeah.
All right.
What a prick.
Rush Limbaugh has been off the air for several weeks now.
Yeah.
Everybody,
Aww.
No, sorry.
Sniff.
No sympathy for that blowhard.
But don't worry, some other assholes are taking his place. I've listened to them.
Right.
They're just not quite as eloquent assholes.
Do you have the apology issued by Rush Limbaugh to all of the prescription drug abusers who he has insulted in the past?
Oh, gee, I missed that story.
Me too.
Rush Limbaugh, the nation's most popular radio talk show host with an audience of 20 million people a week, announced on October 10th that he was addicted to prescription painkillers and would check into a rehabilitation center.
20 million a week? Okay.
Is his audience, yes.
Okay, thank you.
And we are somewhere below that.
We have about 100,000 times fewer listeners than Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah,
I did the math.
Isn't it? Mr. Limbaugh, who has been in the forefront of conservative talk radio since the mid-1980s, and listeners.
Okay.
And is widely credited with mobilizing support for the Republican sweep of Congress in 1994 and the impeachment of President Bill Clinton in 1998, made the announcement 9 days after he resigned as an ESPN sports analyst because of race-related comments he made about Philadelphia Eagles quarterback Donovan McNabb. It was not a good month for Rush.
No.
Sad to say.
I can just see him, strapped down on a gurney somewhere in some, white antiseptic hospital room, sweating and shivering and hallucinating. Like that, coming down from his drugs.
Now, this is still a human being we're talking about.
Yeah. A big, fat, bloated moron human being.
Okay. He blamed it on his injury in the 1990s where he had to take this OxyContin stuff. And if you find yourself, unnaturally attracted to your painkillers, you tell your doctor. You don't say... Ooh, let's make this secret because it's so much fun having the painkillers. What has happened to personal responsibility?
What has happened to personal responsibility in this country?
I mean, from someone who said that all drug abusers should be jailed.
Yeah.
You would think that he'd turn himself into the nearest police station
You would
instead
think.
of turning himself in for
You would think, wouldn't you?
He did not say what drugs he is addicted to.
Well,
but
wait,
everybody
maybe he's
knows
turning
it's-
himself into the nearest drug rehab first, and then he'll turn himself into the nearest police.
First, he ordered a bunch of stuff illegally through his maid.
Okay.
That's what he did first.
Yeah.
Then he made racist comments on ESPN and got fired.
Okay.
Then, when he got caught, then he turned himself into the drug rehab
when
center.
it was too embarrassing to actually try to deny it. Now, I mean, conservatives are trying to play this down, talking about how, oh, poor Rush, he's been addicted to prescription medication. I got a tip for you guys. If you're, if it's a prescription where the doctor says you can have this stuff, that's okay. If you're exchanging hundreds of pills a week in a shoebox in a parking lot, it wasn't prescribed. He knew what he was doing.
And a lot of the other things that people abuse they're things that could be prescribed by doctors. Just because it's a prescription medication. Prescription medication means you can't buy it off the rack at Walmart. That's what it means.
Wait, the only part I'm not sure I'm clear on is
it doesn't mean it's not as bad because it's prescription.
He said this was from a surgery he had in 1994. 1994. So he's been addicted to painkillers for 10 years.
Just 9 years, I guess.
Nearly, yeah.
Just about 10 years, yeah.
Just about 10 years.
Yeah, wow.
Well,
okay,
it depends what part-time time of the year in 94 that is.
So it's not like suddenly it's not like this has been going on for like 3 months and he's finally fessing up to it. This has been going on for 10 years.
Yeah,
he's not just fessing up to it. I mean, the story appeared when the person he was exchanging the drugs, or he was getting the drugs from, reported it to the National Enquirer. And in fact, Ginny and I were very skeptical about this story at first
because
we don't want to. We want to be fair, even to someone we don't like. We don't want to just believe stuff that we read. But then he said, I am addicted to painkillers, but I'm only going to say that the stories you have read, the stories you heard, contain inaccuracies and distortions, and I'm going to clear those up when I'm finally free to speak about them.
But you're addicted to painkillers. And you kept it secret for
and you lied about
9 to 10 years, and come out on your radio show saying that people like you should be in prison. Got it.
Yes.
Okay. But that other stuff was inaccurate and distorted.
Well, he didn't say what was inaccurate and distorted because he is apparently not free to speak about it.
But he said, I am addicted to painkillers.
Yes, he
right?
did.
And he said it's because of my surgery in 94, right?
He didn't. I don't see the year mentioned in this article.
All right.
Yeah, well, some stuff in that is inaccurate
I'm sorry,
and distorted.
it was because of my surgery in 1992.
No, there are parts of that story that are inaccurate and distorted, like the part that they were prescription medications. Written on a prescription.
Well, they were originally.
Originally, yeah.
They are. It's prescription in the sense
the way that was phrased when it was inaccurate and distorted, because he was not getting these legally.
And therefore he can say that.
Yeah.
All right. That was fascinating. Let's see. What other self-righteous dickweed can we talk about?
I want to make it clear, though, that we're not jumping on Rush Limbaugh because he's, because we agree that drug abusers should go to prison.
Certainly not. Drug abusers have a problem and they need to get help.
But is Rush Limbaugh going to say, oops, I was wrong about that drug thing? I would like him to come out and say that.
That would be nice, wouldn't it?
But he won't.
Imagine, okay, you were terrified of the potential of the suggestion that maybe we could imagine Rush Limbaugh naked in a hospital, but imagine this is even worse. Imagine, if you will, Rush Limbaugh comes out of rehab, right? And he goes liberal.
Yeah,
he says, I was so wrong. I learned my lesson.
I was under the influence of drugs during the last 10 years.
All those years, so that's why I was saying all those things. Would we really want that guy on our side? under any circumstances? Maybe like 5 years later.
I would like to see how he comes out, because if he was this raving, flaming asshole before, and then he announced, I'm becoming liberal, and then months later, you see he's checking his facts, he's looking into stuff, he's not making claims without evidence or justification. Yeah. I would say this is the most incredible transformation I've ever seen.
Yeah, but these were not...
I would be happy to accept Rush Limbaugh on our side in that case.
Sure, okay. But not like a sudden,
Everybody cross your fingers and hold your breath.
No. Definitely not.
All right, so what other bloated, self-righteous, bigoted creep can we make fun of now? Who's down on his luck and... Are you sure?
Yes. No.
That's down on his luck and feeling put upon? Well, it's the Pope. The decision not to give the Nobel Peace Prize to Pope John Paul...
Segue.
Huh?
Nice segue.
Thank you. I worked hard on that one.
I can tell.
The decision not to give the Nobel Peace...
You're sweating.
It's Santorum. The decision not to give the Nobel Peace Prize to Pope John Paul has disappointed Vatican officials and Catholics who felt the ailing pontiff deserved it and may not live to get another chance.
What did he do to deserve a Nobel Peace Prize? I would imagine that the requirements are pretty stringent for that thing.
The Pope is sick exactly because of the pain that wars caused him, so he should have won the Nobel Peace Prize, said Anna, an elderly Italian lady, after visiting the Vatican on Friday. Let's note that was not... When I first read this, I thought that was an official statement from the Vatican, but no, it was just some crazy old lady. Supporters felt that this should have been his year because he marks his 25th anniversary this week, and he was instrumental in the fall of communism in 1989, opposed the Iraq... Let's go back over these in a second. Opposed the Iraq War, that is true, and recently his health has appeared to go into steep decline. Okay, let's check off the irrelevancies, right? 25th anniversary? Who fucking cares? Doesn't matter how long you got to sit in the big gold chair. Doesn't matter.
Did he get elected to that big gold chair?
Well, he did by a bunch of other...
Oh, by a bunch of other old guys.
Cardinals, bishops, but the other old guys. Other old Catholic guys.
My bad.
Doesn't matter how many years, though. Right? Does not matter. Well, we feel that, we feel that, Jim Kerry should have gotten the Nobel Peace Prize because it was his, 30th birthday.
Michael J. Fox has a disease.
Yeah. Why didn't he get
Michael J. Fox should get a Peace Prize.
He got that disease because he cared so much about the war.
And it's been like almost 20 years since Back to the Future was made. So there's a big milestone.
That's right. The 20th anniversary of Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Surely.
In 10 more years,
surely
we're
Michael
catching
J. Fox
up with their future. That is so cool.
That's right.
Where's my flying car?
Surely Michael J. Fox deserves the Nobel Peace Prize because of that. Was instrumental in the fall of communism in 1989? How? I mean, I guess that could be true. It could have been instrumental. I never heard anything about that.
Communism is a very naughty.
Yeah, I said that. Opposed the Iraq War. I'll give him that one. That's true. But then so does Janine Garofalo. Is Janine Garofalo getting the Nobel Peace Prize? And recently his health has appeared to go into a steep decline. Again, not a reason to be given the prize. But they're all outraged that people don't feel sorry enough for the Pope to give him this prize over the heads of people who've actually been doing work and being in danger. The winner was Iranian human rights lawyer Shirin Ebadi, who's a woman from Iran who's actually she was in a hostile culture, completely surrounded on all sides by people who thought that she was, against Islam and wanted her dead. So she got the award.
Reportedly, she went to the Vatican and said, "In your face, Pope!"
No, she didn't either. Some observers said the Pope may have been overlooked for the prize despite his strong peace credentials. I would call those questionable peace credentials, because of his views on abortion, birth control, and homosexuality. Sometimes the Church does not accept people's opinions, and that is a problem with respect to the prize, said Martin Klug, a German student visiting the Vatican. That's, again, not an official Vatican statement. That's some guy going to the Vatican. Asked about this view, one Vatican official said, "I thought this was a peace prize and not a prize in sexual ethics." I see. So if John Wayne Gacy was against the war, then he should be up for the Nobel Peace Prize, despite the fact that he killed and buried a bunch of little boys.
Yes, or if
anything
Pat
else
Robertson
besides that particular issue doesn't count. Or Pat Robertson, right? Of course, Pat Robertson was in favor of the war, but
if
you know what I'm saying.
Decides to nuke the government, he should be eligible for a peace prize.
Yeah?
It's his turn to get the Nobel Peace
Oh, it's his
Prize.
turn, is it?
And he's old.
It's turns now. That's how it works. There's a list, right? There's a list, and when you get your name on the list, and when your turn comes up, then you get your prize.
Yeah, you take a number.
And have you got more?
No, I'm done.
Russell, have you got more?
Yes, I have.
Have we got time?
Oh, wait. Yes. Actually,
Okay.
10 more minutes?
Okay, I'm surprised. You were telling me 15, 20 minutes ago. Okay.
No, he was telling us 5 minutes ago.
Yes. And I was wrong. Suspected penis snatcher beaten to death in Gambia.
Whoa!
Banjul, Gambia.
Well, there should be a death penalty for that.
28-year-old man accused of stealing a man's penis through sorcery was beaten to death in the West African country of Gambia.
But damn you, Russell, this was a human being who was killed here.
It was a sorcerer.
Oh, I see. So you're okay with that. As long as he believed that he was a sorcerer, it's okay.
No, the other people believed that.
As long as other people believed he was a sorcerer, it's okay for them to kill him.
Well, yeah. Oh,
no.
It's not. Okay. But it's still funny.
Yeah, it is funny. Now, no, I might actually come out in favor of a death penalty for penis stealing, but not for just the suspicion of penis stealing, I'm afraid. Did they recover? Was the penis recovered?
I'll find out. A police spokesman.
Even if it wasn't him, imagine there's some other guy running around with that penis. I got away with it. I was selling this on the black market.
A police spokesman told Reuters that Bob.
No, I'm sorry, the black market isn't looking for those penises.
Shut up. A police spokesman told Reuters that Baba Jallo was lynched by about 10 people in the town of Serekunda, about 9 miles from the capital, Banjul.
Yeah?
Reports of penis snatching are not uncommon in West Africa, where purported victims claimed that alleged sorcerers simply touched them to make their genitals shrink or disappear in order to extort cash in the promise of a cure.
I'll now make these genitals disappear!
There was shrinkage! Shrinkage, I tell you!
This is something that comes about when men get married, to some strange woman, and when they go to sleep with their woman and their woman says, "Oh my God, it's so small," they go, "It shrank! You see, I had this encounter with the sorcerer." Yeah, that's it. And it used to be bigger, really.
Sure.
Boy, the lengths that people will go to save face.
Or the shortnesses.
In order to, they touch...
Okay, so they have penis snatching. Do they also have snatch snatching?
The police spokesman said many men in Serekunda are now afraid to shake hands, and he urged people not to believe reports of vanishing genitals. Belief in sorcery is widespread in West Africa. 7 alleged penis snatchers were beaten... It's just a funny phrase. 7 alleged alleged peanut snatchers were beaten to death by angry mobs in China in 1997.
Yes, I remember that story.
I don't.
We did that on the TV show back when I was on the TV show.
Wow.
That's right. Big rash of
penis on public access?
Snatching access.
I guess you could.
Yeah, on public access you can. Wow. That's just nuts. Do we have comments from the chat room?
No, I have to catch up with it.
All right.
Pun intended.
Gosh, we're on such a roll now. I got comedy or I got seriousness. Vote.
Comedy.
Okay. So it's not the lawsuit against the Bush administration for using the Secret Service to sideline protesters at his event.
Well, that's
that would be the serious
too,
one.
But maybe you can get to them both. What have you got left, Keryn?
I'm done.
She's done. It's down to me, I think.
I'll be done.
Okay. Christians stumped again. Believers are flocking to a rundown street in New Jersey to see a tree stump they say has the form of the Virgin Mary and is a divine sign for hope in the impoverished neighborhood. Miracle on Madison Street, that's what I would have called it, said Hector Cruz, who visited the roughly 2-foot-high stump in Passaic, New Jersey, a largely Hispanic city about 15 miles west of New York. The piece of wood, whose shape believers say resembles a veiled Virgin Mary with a bowed head, was noticed by passers-by over the weekend on state-owned land.
Oh my God, it's a religious thing on state-owned land. We should chop it down.
Yeah, but we can't be moving everything that some nitwits want to say is a religious symbol from state. This pavement stone right here, this one with this rock embedded in the concrete, it's holy. It looks sort of like Buddha. And they have to take that out.
Yeah.
We can't do that. I worship blades of grass. They have blades of grass on public property. On state-owned land alongside a street that residents say is a hangout for illegal drug users. That would explain a lot, too. Since then, a steady stream of visitors have left candles, flowers, handwritten notes, and methamphetamines. No. At the site. It has her form definitely, said Jackie Kors. Looks just like her.
Because he'd know, because he saw her.
That's right. That's right. What photographs of the Virgin Mary are they comparing these things
Looks
to?
just like the artist's rendition of her that I saw reproduced from the Louvre one time.
Yes, right. Not to mention it's a veiled face of the Virgin Mary.
Well, are they all?
No.
No.
No. See, so this is just a figure of a woman with a veil over her head, and they're saying it looks like the Virgin Mary.
It's a stump.
That
some morons say looks like a figure with a veil over its head.
Yeah, right.
And here's the culprit right here. Marian Ruiz said she and her mother first spotted the stump, etched with axe marks and... You're sure those are not track marks? Considering the street corner? And surrounded with litter? Where it's located, it's a bad area around here, she said. It's a sign. That proves it, right? It's a stump that I think looks like the Virgin Mary, and it's in a bad neighborhood, so it definitely then must be the Virgin Mary.
Let's think through this. If it was in a good area, would they have said it's not the Virgin Mary?
Yeah, because she would never hang around with those rich people.
Oh.
I don't know. A spokesman for the Roman Catholic Diocese of Patterson told local media the church would have to learn more about the case before investigating whether it is a miracle. Which is, ironic considering they just gave the, what's her name, Mother Teresa, right? They sainted Mother Teresa.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
When any investigation into whether that was a miracle or not would have uncovered that it wasn't.
She showed up in this person's room who was recovering anyway, and they recovered?
No.
Different thing.
Didn't show up. Got prayed to by woman in room with
right.
tummy problems. 5 years ago, in nearby Jersey City, word of an image of the Virgin Mary on a freezer door.
Miracle?
That was that one, yeah.
She had 3 miracles?
1 minute, sorry.
1 minute. I don't know how many miracles you're supposed to have had.
You're supposed to have 3 miracles to become a saint.
I don't know what the other 2 are.
I know that because I've seen the movie.
Oh, wait, or are they beatifying her? There's like different stages, and one only requires 1 miracle. It's like a lesser thing.
They made her. I heard they said her.
I think there were 2 previous miracles.
All right, so anyway, this has
nature.
happened before in New Jersey, which should be a warning sign right there. Okay. So we're done. I have another pedophilia story, and just to sort of hit the high points. Investigators arrested a priest on suspicion of harassing staff at a Catholic school and found at his home an unlicensed pistol, pornography, Nazi paraphernalia, and thousands of dollars that he said he stole from collection plates and referred to as his 401k money. All right, everybody, thank you very much for listening. We're going to let you go back with They Might Be Giants, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.